Hi, I'm Dr. Parsa Mohebi from Parsa Mohebi Hair Restoration in Los Angeles. I would like to go over the comparison of Joe Biden and Donald Trump's hair restoration procedures. President Trump has a hairline that is specific for him, and it's his signature. So he is having his own special comb over, and a lot of people are asking, what's down there? What is he trying to hide? So we know certain facts. We know that Mr. Trump has had a procedure called a scalp reduction. A scalp reduction is one of the older methods, hair restoration procedures, that we're not performing it anymore, or I'm not aware of anybody is performing that anymore. It used to be like before we had hair transplant with the current technology that we currently can remove single follicles or single follicular units one at a time and place them and make it perfectly natural. Without having this technology, we had no choice but instead of putting hair, remove the baldness. So basically, a scalp reduction or baldness reduction is a procedure that instead of putting hair, you remove the skin that is bald. So basically, when you have a bald area on the crown area or on the top, so you start removing that bald skin and bring the hair bearing areas closer together. At the end, you can eliminate that baldness and you have a scar at the middle, which is kind of covered because you have hair around it and you can comb over it. But the problem is hair loss never stops. Hair loss keeps getting expanded and extended, so you have to keep doing this procedure, and at some point you don't have enough hair bearing skin to cover the area. So patients are ending up with a big area of baldness with a huge scar at the middle that they have no choice but to comb over that. There are rumors that he might have a rotational flaps. That's when instead of putting hair in, like hair transplant, we remove a piece of the skin from the back, not completely. We keep the pedicle here with the vessels and rotate it, and from the back bring it to the front and put it on the hairline. It gives you a solid hairline in front, which is kind of unusual a little bit for the very front of the hairline, and the direction of the hair, instead of going forward and down, it goes up, which is making it weird. The other problem with that is if you look very closely, you can see a scar right in front of that flap. So that's probably one of the reasons that his hairline is okay, but it's still, he's combing over. He has shown his scar. President Trump has shown his hairline, and it looks pretty solid, but he's still doing the comb over because there's something behind that. We are looking at the very frontal 2 centimeter, which is looking pretty decent, but right behind it, there's probably complete baldness or depleted area of follicles. Joe Biden had a hair transplant procedure. We know it because when you look at his front of the hairline and the back of the scalp, you see a specific pattern that it is not natural. You see a hairline that's relatively good, and the hairline that's even juvenile at the location that's kind of low for a man of that age. And when the camera goes on the back, you see a huge area of baldness on the crown. So that means that he had a hair transplant in front and probably has not been considered his progression of hair loss. So he had a hair transplant early on, and the hairline was created at the level it did, but then he continued to lose hair. For some reason, he couldn't do another hair transplant or didn't want to do another hair transplant. Now he ended up with a huge balding area and a hairline that is not going hand in hand with that huge balding spot on the crown. So obviously, President Trump and Mr. Joe Biden have two different techniques of hair restoration. Donald Trump had more outdated procedure that is not even done anymore. The procedure was done through scalp reduction, probably flap, rotated flap. Mr. Joe Biden had a procedure which is more recent or more updated. That's a hair transplant, but probably it could have been done a little bit better with the planning. So if I were to transplant Joe Biden, I would have probably given him a little bit more mature hairline, brought the forehead a little bit higher, the corners a little bit higher, to create that natural mature Caucasian hairline that people expect to see. And then if you see some corners recession and some crown baldness, they go hand in hand. So instead of you being class 6 of being completely bald, now you're class 4 or class 3V, which is recession of the corners and some balding spot here. And probably Joe Biden, even if he wants to do more hair transplant now, he probably can. Looking at his donor area, he has probably more hair. Again, that's something you have to evaluate patients, in person, but it looks like he has enough hair on the back, or he could get some hair from beard and put it on the crown area. That's a new procedure, relatively new procedure. We've been doing it more and more in the last few years, and I have been one of the pioneers of doing beard to scalp hair transplant, and to the point that we can do like 2,000 grafts every day. So pretty much, if a person, assuming Joe Biden has enough average density of the facial hair just from the neck, below the chin and neck area, we can remove 2,000 grafts in one sitting and cover the entire crown area.